No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
It was a night where the Jets needed a clean 2 points, and ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what they delivered with a convincing 4-1 victory tonight over the Vegas Golden Knights. A short, abbreviated 2-game homestand, but the Jets get it off on the right foot with tonight's victory. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Along with Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here for the next little bit to talk about the Winnipeg Jets and their victory tonight. The out-of-town scoreboard hasn't necessarily broken their way so far tonight, as the Predators have defeated the San Jose Sharks 6-3. The Jets do move ahead of the Sharks, but they stay 5 points behind the Predators for that final playoff spot. But Dave M, they can only control what they can control, and tonight they controlled the game, at least after the first 5 minutes or so, and come away with a complete victory tonight.
They did indeed, Drew. You are right. It took about 10 minutes. Well, it's a little bit controversial. I know you were at the game, but it's a little bit controversial because the Jets definitely got a shot in between the first and ninth Vegas shots of the game, because Hill made a blocker save during a sequence.
They just didn't count it.
For whatever reason, they just didn't count it. It was very bizarre. It was very audible because we could hear it in the press box at the other end of the arena. And yet, for whatever reason, which is all I always say, be a little cautious with the NHL stats whenever you want to take them as gospel. And you're like, this is exactly it. It's like, remember, these are still humans ultimately making a lot of these decisions. And that was a decision that was somewhat inexplicable. Now, it's worth noting that the Jets, again, regardless of whether there was one shot or zero shots in the first 9 minutes and 59 seconds of that game before they either got what you consider their first or second shot of the game. I mean, look, there weren't a lot of great chances. The only one that was what I'd call a grade A was probably the Mark Stone chance in tight on Connor Hellebuck, but they kept, so most of the shots were from the outside. There weren't a ton of really what we call difficult ones, but ultimately the Jets, kind of weathered that storm. One of the subjects of conversation, which the players, we talked to Kyle Connor and Dylan DeMello this morning, neither one of them had a lot of insight as to the slow starts, and neither really did Scott Arneal. He felt like they hadn't been as bad, and then kind of recognized that they did do that in Boston as well as in Pittsburgh, but ultimately it doesn't hurt them here, and they're able to roll to a very important win over the Vegas Golden Knights.
It's funny you mentioned that shot that wasn't counted as a shot, because I was in seats tonight. I went to the game with my friend Benji, who of course would like a shout out. So I have to give him the shout out and say thank you to Benji for taking the game tonight. And we were sitting there in the seats, and we both looked at each other like, that was a shot. That was a clean shot. It was obviously a shot, but for whatever reson, they didn't call it a shot. So that was definitely curious for not just you and the rest of the denizens of the press box, but also those of us, who were in seats tonight watching the game. We're also a little bit confused by that occurrence and that lack of occurrence, as the case may be. But I thought after that point in time, so definitely a slow start for the Winnipeg Jets. But after that point in time, they really did find their game, and I thought, definitely were the better of the two teams and did a very effective job at neutralizing Vegas. There was some stints of sloppiness where Connor Hellebuck had to, make some, what I'll describe as quality saves. I don't know that they were 5 alarm fire bells that he had to make, but I thought Connor Hellebuck himself even looked comfortable. He looked, the proverbial big and boring, in net for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. He almost seemed settled in from the outset. Maybe he read our buddy Mike McIntyre's column about should there be a goaltending controversy, and he said, not on my watch, Mr. McIntyre.
Maybe he didn't like the questioning by Kenny Weep today in the media availability with the final question. I asked a couple of questions to Scott Arneal, and then Kenny kind of ended the media availability asking about the decision to go with Hellebuck today instead of Eric Comrie.
He asked Scott
Arneal, and Scott Arneal kind of was
Scott
like,
Arneal
Scott Arneal was like, Hellebuck? Like you're like questioning whether we should be using our number one guy. So it was kind of funny.
Yeah. This was a game that the Winnipeg Jets, you know how difficult the next 2 games are going to be. Colorado back-to-back, that's not a picnic for anybody, least of all the Winnipeg Jets team scratching and clawing to try and stay in the playoff race. And so tonight's victory against the Golden Knights, and frankly, the Golden Knights, while they do have a better record than the Winnipeg Jets, did Mitch Marner play in tonight's game for Vegas?
I don't know.
Jack Eichel play in the game tonight for Vegas? I mean, they're stars. The only time I really know, Mark Stone, I noticed a couple times, but I also noticed him slamming his stick against the boards, frustrated with his own play. I mean, I did not think, Mitch Marner allegedly had 3 shots on goal, but Jack Eichel had 4, but neither of those 2 guys were what I would describe as dangerous tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. I thought the Jets were on their toes tonight. I thought Cole Koepke and Morgan Barron were very strong in tonight's game. Cole Koepke had a number of chances shorthanded and just used his speed to the benefit of his team. How about, and we talked about the confidence that Brad Lambert has been showing, and we talked about that on Sunday's post-game show. How about that net drive that Brad Lambert had that led to the sort of wasn't a goal because the net was knocked off the moorings and everything else, but that was an aggressive net drive by Brad Lambert showing off some speed. Elias Salomonsson had an impressive net drive after he was in the box for that cross-checking penalty. The Jets came to play tonight. Mark Scheifele dropping the gloves, defending Kyle Connor after what he did in the hit that was laid. Who's laid that hit?
Howden,
exactly. Howden laid that hit.
Who also, if you remember, was the one who took out Fleury when they were here in Winnipeg with the last game when Fleury had the injury, wasn't it?
Right, didn't take him out with anything purposeful.
No. I just meant but it was an open ice hit that sent Fleury into the board.
Fleury into the end boards. I thought the Jets were they knew what was at stake. They knew that a loss would, not mathematically, but for all intents and purposes, eliminate them.
Oh yeah.
And again, we all know how difficult the challenge is going to be. So again, nobody is planning a parade. Nobody is saying anything different. There's 11 games to go, and the margin for error for the Winnipeg Jets is maybe 1, maybe 2 games at most.
Well, the reality is that our previous comments were that none of the teams, Seattle, LA, Winnipeg, Nashville, and San Jose, were running away with it. But Nashville has now reeled off, since their loss to the Jets, have now reeled off 5 straight.
Right. So Nashville's the only team that's playing very good hockey right now. So they're, again, they are 5 points up on the Winnipeg Jets. So that's a difficult hill to climb for the Winnipeg Jets. But you can only take care of what you can take care of. And tonight, against the Vegas Golden Knights team that is battling for playoff positioning in that Pacific Division, a Pacific Division which, again, is not that good. So fortunate that, 3 of those teams have to make the playoffs out of the Pacific. The Winnipeg Jets were ready for the challenge. Maybe not at puck drop, but they were, after that, they were very good. And I thought top to bottom, I liked a lot of what I saw from the Winnipeg Jets. I especially like the young players getting more and more comfortable. Lambert, Barron, Roseanne, 71% Corsi 4. They had minimal ice time at 5-on-5, not a big number, but they had 5 shot attempts in their favor, 2 shot attempts against. I like that. I thought that they were just noticeable for all the right reasons in tonight's game. Again, the goaltending for Vegas, Aiden Hill, not very good. That's not very good at all. Goaltending for Vegas has been pretty lousy all season long. But again, the Jets need to take advantage of that. Frankly, it's 4-1 is the final in tonight's game. But if Gabe Vilardi tucks in that misplay by Aiden Hill, misplay/nice read by Vilardi, it's a 5-1 game. How about or the other chances that I mentioned? Shorthanded, they had a couple. Maybe it's a 6-1 game for the Winnipeg Jets. Whatever it might be, the Jets came to play tonight. And I think they sent the home crowd home happy for very good reason.
Absolutely. As you touched on, Drew, the Gordie Howe. Well, I don't think you mentioned that it was a Gordie Howe hat trick for.
I didn't. I guess it would be. Was that
for Mark Scheifele
first?
I don't know if it's probably. He only has 10. I think they looked it up, 10 fights, but some minutia
Yes.
Before Scott Arneal comes in, Mark Scheifele ties Thomas Steen for the most games ever played in the Winnipeg Jets uniform. Except here's Scott Arneal.
That game started, looked heavily in their favor, and then it swung in the other direction. What did you think your team did to
A little bit on the zone time, not so much on scoring chances. I mean, there was, they hemmed us in early. There was a lot more shots from the outside. I mean, what was it, 8-9-0, whatever. But there was a couple that were in front of Helly. The more of it was the outside. I just think that, then we kind of got ourselves going and, got playing fast, and we just kind of took over the game from that point.
Covering this team over the years, it's nothing new for them to be able to be in a situation like that where it looks like they don't have the puck very much, taking on a lot of shots, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's in the back of their net. What goes into that? Is it that ability to, are you maybe catching the opponent a little bit too much on their toes? How does that work?
I don't know. I think every game's different. I think that you don't ever really want to get off to slow starts. I think that, we've had a few this year, but I think that us coming off a road trip, I don't know, you come home and kind of maybe take a breath, has something to do with it or whatever. But I just like the fact that, we kind of, we just did a really good job of anything that came early on was from the outside. And, Helly was there for the few that got through. And then we just got playing our game. And it's hard to explain why and how, but we just got up on our toes and got going, and then all of a sudden, it tilted, and we had all the momentum going our way.
Mark Scheifele downplayed the importance of his fight standing up for Kyle Connor. Do you see value in it?
Oh, every time you look after your teammates. It happened the other night in New York with Fetz. Our 5 guys came plowing in there, and that's just something this group has been very good at. They care for each other. They stick up for each other. Their family, and so I think Scheif and KC, that friendship, that business partnership that they have, he was going to jump in there. So, good for him, and obviously I'm real glad he didn't get hurt. But at the end of the day, that's what those guys expect from each other, to look after each other.
Scott, the element of the teammates sticking up for each other, how has that element kind of changed from your playing days to now? Has it at all?
When I first started, all 20 guys would come over the boards and it'd be a bench clear. But I think that's it's interesting because obviously there isn't as much fighting as used to be, but just sticking together when something like that happens, whether it's like that or if it's a skirmish in front of Helly or if it's somebody getting hit a cheap shot or whatever it might be. Even Sal at the end there when he obviously hit their guy and. Our rest of our guys have to get in there. Just that to show that, togetherness, and it just helps your sort of team toughness, and that's kind of what you need.
Cole Perfetti mentioned that he really liked the play away from the puck and how that kind of led to some of the opportunities. What did you see from that?
I thought we did a really good job of clogging the middle of the ice, especially on entries in our end. I thought our forwards did a great job of tracking, which led to our D being able to keep a really good gap, and kind of with that team with some of that skill. They really like to play that with a lot of one-on-one hockey. I just thought we did a real good job with the guts of the ice tonight. We did it, especially, like I said, from the red line back to our net. Stuff it came from the outside. We didn't, give up the quality through the middle, and that was just that, and that was everybody. That wasn't just our checkers or whatever it might be. That was everybody paying attention. When the puck turned over, we worked our tails off to make sure that we got back and helped.
What are some of the little things that we might not see from the Perfetti Lowry line that you've liked to see their progression?
Yeah, the one when they get into the offensive zone, they're starting to become like Scheif and KC, and if it's Al. That puck possession, they're starting to do a good job of holding on to pucks, kind of waiting, working. Maybe it might be a 2-man cycle, working to find that open ice, that open space. And the other side for it, as well as you saw on Fetz's goal, the transition game. When it does, we do turn it over, make the opposition turn it over, and then we transition fast. Like they have the ability to make plays, and Lau knows that he's the guy that gets the net. The other two are, going to try to make their plays, and that's that depth of scoring that we've been looking for and needed, and obviously it was big tonight.
Whether it was Scheifele's fight or other moments throughout the game, it felt like a lot of emotion in that game. Like it felt like the emotion was carrying the team, and I'm wondering, it's great to get that in home games where the crowd's kind of into it? How do you manufacture that in other games?
I think that's kind of been coming out of the Olympic break there. We've given ourselves a chance here to stay in this race, and the emotion is there. Every shift matters, and kind of obviously every point matters, but every shift matters, and you can see the guys, whether it's a guy blocking a shot or getting a stick on a puck or making a great play offensively. You can hear it on the bench, you can hear it in the room, and they're feeling really good about what we have to do each night. And when we do what we did tonight, limit Vegas to very, very few 5-on-5 scoring chances against a really good team like that, one of the elite analytic teams in this league. And it just, the growth of the sort of the positive upbeat, like you said, it kind of builds on the bench, builds in the room, and guys, you can hear it, you can see it, and that just grows each and every shift.
I know that was a big moment for Mark, but I'm wondering if that's just an example, if I'm not trying to make it bigger than it is, but if it can be like a teaching moment where it's almost to kind of pull into this playoff push, that you might have to do things you're not used to doing, right? Whether that's secondary scoring, which I'm sure you'd love, but just knowing that a guy like Mark, who's probably the last guy expected to fight, that he's dropping the gloves, could do something in a bigger message for the team.
First of all, I after the game, I announced his Gordie Howe hat trick, and then I find out that's his fourth one. So he has been down that road before. But it's you want to do it for 82 games. It's hard, but at the end of the day, like I mentioned, we're coming over the break. We knew that's what it was going to take. It was going to be taking guys that are checkers to score goals. It was going to be goal scorers to check. It was going to be those kind of emotional moments like that where it's sticking up for each other. It was going to be goaltenders standing on their head. It was just going to be our specialty teams on one night or another night being the difference. It was a collection of all of those things have to come together. We're not there yet. We're getting closer in the sense of closing the gap on people. But at the end of the day, it takes all of that stuff, and that's what gets you. And you look back on things and you say, what was sort of the TSN turning point? And it's like some of these little things that happen along the way. Sorry, that's just a figure of speech. I just give TSN a shot. So,
Scott, on the topic of players stepping up in roles, you have Salamonson taking a penalty and Sandberg, two of your penalty killing defensemen, but you killed both of those. What stood out to you on those?
Yeah, again, that's a couple nights. That's 3 nights in a row now where our PK came up large, and even though they got the one at the end in the second period there, right at the end of the kill, we had done a really good job against the top 5 power play, and. There's lots of skill over there. It's all part of that, blocking shots, getting sticks in lanes. Obviously, Helly has to be your best penalty killer, but other guys had to step up, guys that don't get the same minutes that maybe, especially Sammy, who being our big PKer. Just that, I think of the second period where Sammy pulled one out that was sitting in the right at the goal line, and then Bear takes a swing and a dive and chops it down the ice when they had been on the ice for almost 60 seconds. So it's all those things that kind of have to come about and have to be consistent. And I thought the last 3 games, the overtimes in New York and Pittsburgh, and then again tonight, that's what you need now to hopefully continue to push forward.
Yeah. One more. I know it can maybe be hidden a little bit in your record this season, but what would you say about your top line, Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele, and how often they've outdone the other team's best in games this year, how often they've either put this team over the top or given them a chance in games to get there? What an analysis of their season?
Yeah, well, I think that if you go and look at every team's top players, that's their job. That's what they do best. There's a couple of guys in Edmonton, a couple of guys in Colorado. There's, you can keep naming the teams. You look at what Nashville's doing right now, and look there's Stamkos being right in the middle. Your best players have to be your best players, and those 2 guys have been that way for us. And I know that the New York game, they each could have had a hat trick. They each had all kinds of opportunities, and they didn't get anything. And so you saw tonight there, they're right in the middle of it. And tonight they got rewarded. Those pucks went in the net. But, that's what your elite players do in this league. When you have them, they can change games. They can make a 1-goal game into a 2-goal game. They can help you come back in games. And we have it. And 2, obviously we have other great players, but we have 2 great players that are pretty consistent when it comes to putting the puck in the net. Thank you.
There he goes, Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arneal joining us tonight, live from the Matt Frost Media Center. Big thanks to photographer, videographer extraordinaire, Colby Spence. Saw Colby at the game tonight. That was great to see Colby, of course. Saw him on Sunday at the PWHL game. Also great to see Colby there. Big thanks to Colby for getting Scott Arneal locked and loaded here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's presented by our friends at Play Now. Let's do what we do on each and every episode of this fine program. It's goal-by-goal recap, and it's called the Play Now Game Recap.
The Play Now Game Recap.
Sign up for Play Now and get a $20 lottery welcome bonus. Play Now is Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site and the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Conditions apply. 18+. Enjoy responsibly. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Go ahead, Dave M.
I didn't get to finish my minutia, Drew.
Go ahead with it.
Well, no, I'm not saying you should. I'm just wanting to get that out there. And now that I'm going to get a chance, I will say, because I was just saying so before I was so rudely interrupted by Scott Arneal, that Mark Scheifele ties Thomas Steen for 950 games in a Winnipeg Jets uniform, which obviously means he'll be breaking it on Thursday night, but still a pretty significant milestone. He will be the longest tenured Jets player in terms of wearing that Jets uniform. So a pretty significant milestone for the first ever pick by the Winnipeg Jets. And it wasn't just about him tonight, because it was also Morgan Barron's 300th game in a Winnipeg Jets uniform. And I was somewhat marveling. I suspect the chat will like walking down memory lane with this one, when I was reflecting on the trade that brought Morgan Barron to Winnipeg from the New York Rangers in trade for, of course, Andrew Kopp. So the Rangers got Andrew Kopp for 16 games of the regular season. He scored 8 goals, 10 assists, and 20 games of the playoffs, 6 goals, 8 assists. But because they went far in the playoffs, that second rounder got upgraded to a first rounder. Jets drafted Brad Lambert. The second rounder was Elias Salamonson, and the fifth rounder was Thomas Milic. So that trade paid dividends for this. And they, of course, got
Morgan Barron.
Morgan Barron, who has, I think I said it was 40 goals and 41 assists for the Winnipeg Jets. So in his 300 games, so I should say. So pretty good trade, pretty memorable. And like I said, for a while, it was looking like that was my most notable piece of information until, of course, I realized the Scheifele. I was like, it was funny when I was looking at the thing. I was like, Scheifele's playing his 950th game. I'm like, that's triggering something in my brain. And it was going around. And then finally I was like, oh yeah, I think that's as many games as Steen has played. Number 25 for the Winnipeg Jets. Can't forget Thomas Steen, also city councilor. Steen.
Yes, former city councilor. Exactly right. Yeah. I guess he was always a city councilor, but anyes.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you're. It's kind of like when you're a first round pick, and everyone says you're
former first round pick. Well, you're still a first round pick.
You're always a first round pick. Just a pro hockey player.
Exactly. Former, yeah, okay. But also the fourth Gordie Howe for Mark Scheifele. So thank you to Scott Arneal for being the statistician of record here on the Illegal Curve post game show.
I guess it's not crazy. I mean, he I think Connor Rabchak was telling us that it was his 10th fight, courtesy of hockeyfight.com. And so, but I mean, if you think about it, he's pretty prolific in terms of goals and assists. So not a shocker that in those 10 games that he fought, he has a goal and assist. But
exactly, he's averages a little less than one fight every season. One fight, a half a fight every season, or something like that, or 3/4 of a fight every season.
Dietermeister is asking if Steen still is in Winnipeg, and I believe he moved back to Sweden a few years ago. But he is, as far as I know, he's back in Sweden.
Okay, there you go, Dave M. with the latest Thomas Steen update. I bet you didn't have that on your bingo card for tonight's post game.
Next up, I'll bring you the latest on Freddie Olesen.
Well, we appreciate it.
Who was once upon a time was on our radio show.
It's true, he was. We had Freddie Olsen as a guest, Daniel Berthume as a guest. Was that we were doing a summer series? Is that what it was? I don't remember. No, I think we had them on when they announced the first Heritage Classic.
Oh, is like kind of like a memory lane sort of thing?
Sort of something like that, something along those lines. Daniel
Berthume I gotta tell you,
he was a boat captain in Norfolk, Virginia, if I recall correctly.
That's right. He was in Norfolk, Virginia. Mm-hmm. Olesen was back in Finland, yeah. And then, but I mean, Freddie Olesen just had such a good shot. You remember his slap shot?
He had a cannon. He just
he didn't hit the net all the time.
All that often. Yeah, that was the problem there. I'll tell you one.
And by the way, Drew, Freddie Olsen's Swedish, not Finnish.
Fair enough. one player who can hit the net. That's Kyle Connor, and he opened the scoring in tonight's game.
We're gonna start the recap. There we go.
Yes, there you go. See, segue there. It was a slow start for the Winnipeg Jets, and they finally get on the board though after the first 7-8 minutes where everything was to the outside, as Scott Arneal said. They may not have had puck possession, but they were very good at keeping the puck to the outside. Go ahead.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but we tend, I know this is the game recap where we tend to focus on goals, assists, and potentially Mark Scheifele fights, but we should also mention some of the plays that prevented goals, because Dylan DeMello in that first sequence he made two nice plays in the game. One was in the first period during that the wraparound attempt. I don't remember who tried the wraparound, but was it Howden? No, maybe I don't think it was Howden, but it was one of the Golden Knights tried wrapping it around the net, and DeMello got over and prevented that from getting in. So there was that nice play. He also made a nice defensive play.
I think it was Rasmus Anderson, actually.
Oh, was it? Okay, that makes maybe you're right. But anyway, so it was Anderson who made the wraparound, and then also on the on the PK, even though they scored on the following ensuing faceoff, he made a really nice play to clear a puck that was in a dangerous spot. So Dylan DeMello often gets pilloried, and I thought he had a nice bounce back. Well, he's been bouncing back since he got benched, I should say.
Right. Well said, well put from impressive performance by a number of the Winnipeg Jets tonight, and he was certainly one of them as well in saving a couple of goals. Kyle Connor, his 32nd of the year, assist to Josh Morrissey and Mark Scheifele, this coming with 2 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the first period. To this point in time, there had been no goals scored until Connor gets the Jets on the board. You love the puck retrieval here. You love the effort by the Winnipeg Jets on this goal. Mark Scheifele, who gets the secondary assist on this one, I mean, it's all about his effort to go and win the puck battle in the corner while being knocked down. He beats Caden Korchak to the puck, and he gets it back to Morrissey, and Morrissey sends it cross ice. Great pass to Kyle Connor on the tape for the one-timer. I don't even know that Connor got all of the shot, got everything he wants on the shot, but he still put it in a good spot to beat Aiden Hill with it, sort of up and over the shoulder to give the Jets the opening lead in this one. But just you watch this in the puck retrieval here, there's a puck retrieval by Dylan DeMello to put the puck into the corner to allow Scheifele to get it over to Morrissey and then back to Connor. It's just the Jets were hard on the puck. They were hard in winning the battles that you need to win in order to be successful. They get rewarded despite being outshot at this point in time, 12-4 in the first period. They do get the opening goal, 1-0, courtesy of the stick of Kyle Connor.
No, and it's funny because it's almost like you said, Drew. Connor's almost like the guy who deserves the least credit because it's a real nice effort by Mark Scheifele.
Yeah,
but all the play that I think makes it is the kind of shake and bake by Josh Morrissey, which it really is amazing how talented he is in terms of like what appears to be so little space, and yet he creates enough for himself to maintain possession of the puck and get away from a checker. And so, he does that little shake and bake move, creates the time and space, and then right over to Kyle Connor where he just one times at home. And I mean, there's no mistaking it with Kyle Connor. I mean, he's just so lethal when you give him, I mean, again, it's not automatic. It's not always like, I mean, we saw him do that shot a couple of times in the game, but it's just a great pass. But I mean, it's a pass with speed. That to me is the key. And Connor and Scheifele, no surprise, these guys continue to go back and forth in terms of, goal scoring lead. But of course, we know that it's not going to last for very long. But Kyle Connor temporarily with his 32nd has the team goal scoring lead.
Yeah, exactly right. 1-0 for the Jets after 20 minutes of play, and it doesn't take them long into the second to make it 2-0. And this is just sloppy play by the Vegas Golden Knights. That's just the only way to describe it. The Jets just dump it in. Dylan DeMello goes cross ice in the neutral zone to Gabe Vilardi. Vilardi sort of doesn't realize that the puck is coming to him until it's almost, an afterthought as Vilardi's heading off for a change. So he just dumps the puck in, to the Golden Knights corner, and Shea Theodore goes back and he retrieves the puck and he goes to ring it around the boards and he just passes it to Mark Scheifele, which would be great if they were on the same team. But they're not. He just gives the puck away for no reason, just sort of casually sends it up the boards. And Mark Scheifele is too good of an NHL player to just give him the puck. Meanwhile, Alex Iafallo has come over the boards and is just all alone. There are 3 Golden Knights 4 Golden Knights, pardon me, on one side of the ice. It's Shea Theodore's on that one side. Braden McNabb is on that one side. Pavel Dorofeyev is on that one side. And Mitch Marner are on one side of the ice. Nobody is near Alex Iafallo. So as soon as Mark Scheifele intercepts the pass to nobody, he just feeds it over to Alex Iafallo, who receives the pass, takes a second to sort of gather himself because that's how much time he has, and just goes, short side, top corner over Adin Hill. Atrocious defensive zone coverage by the Golden Knights. The Jets are just more detail-oriented. Didn't even say attention to detail there. Notice I changed it up. Detail-oriented. Yeah. The Jets get rewarded for being detail-oriented. Passes in. Iafallo gives the Jets a 2-0 lead 2 minutes into the second period.
Well, and what was part of our conversation earlier today with some of the players was not being ready to start periods. And the Jets were clearly ready to go in that second, and they were kind of rolling immediately, as you touched on, Drew. And it was funny because, again, and I know obviously you were actually, sorry, you don't have the benefit of watching the broadcast because you were at the game.
I was at the game, yeah.
Yeah. So it was funny because when I watched the replay of it, I was like, did Iafallo, it was a nice goal by him, but putting it where he did, but you could kind of see his reaction was like, wow, nice pass to Mark Scheifele, because he was just so impressed by how quickly Scheifele spotted him. And again, one of the things, both Scheifele and Connor are
it's on Scheifele's stick and off Scheifele's stick really quickly.
Well, because he recognizes the breakdown in coverage. I mean, that's what I was going to say. Like, that's the thing. Like, these guys give each other so much credit because they're able to analyze the situation. And when he recognizes, how overbalanced things are for the Golden Knights, well, you're going to hit Iafallo there. The only mistake with the play, as far as I'm concerned, is that Iafallo got rid of the best goal song, in last year when he had Poison as well. I should say Poison the band, but
right.
But he scores. I think that was his 12th of the season, and it really the crowd was already kind of into it because the Jets had started to play better in that towards the end of the first, and now you give them reason to cheer. Right now, it's a 2-0 game early in the second, and you're building a little momentum because, as we said, this isn't a game where you can't afford to lose. You really can't. Like, it's not even, sorry, it's no longer a can't lose. This is a must-win game, regardless of the score from Nashville. That makes it even more so. But you can only focus on what, like we heard from the players, you can only control what you can control. And unfortunately, we've talked about this, or fortunately, depending on which team you're on, the Jets have lost the luxury because they didn't bank enough points early in the season to have latitude at this point. So it really is incumbent on them to win almost every single game. I don't know how realistic it is with 11 left, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what they're going to have to do. And so this is a good way to kind of keep the crowd in it and keep yourselves in it with a real nice pass by Mark Scheifele and a good goal by Alex Iafallo.
And less than 2 minutes later, they make it 3-0. Cole Perfetti, he's up to double digits. Sure, we know the slow start to the season that Cole has had, but he's looking much more comfortable as of late. Perfetti up to 10 goals in the season, assist to Gabe Vilardi, assist to Dylan DeMello. I mean, there should also be an assist to Braden McNabb on this one, who just absolutely boots the puck. I mean, it's a routine play. Golden Knights head for a line change. Dylan DeMello just sends the puck up the wall, and Braden McNabb is there to intercept it, but the puck just sort of bounces on him, jumps over his stick, which allows Gabe Vilardi to head in on the 2-on-1, even on a 3-on-1 a little bit, as the Golden Knights, with the long change in the second period, they're in a whole boatload of trouble here, as it's Vilardi, it's Perfetti, it's Lowry, all up against Shea Theodore. Vilardi takes his time. I thought he maybe waited too long, but a perfect saucer pass. Just an absolute beauty of a saucer pass onto the stick of Cole Perfetti, who makes no mistake tucking it behind Adin Hill. And the Jets have a 3-0 lead 4 minutes into the second period. Couldn't ask for a better, really 20 minutes. After the first 5 minutes of the game, you couldn't ask for a better 20-minute sequence from the Winnipeg Jets perspective, scoring those sort of 3 goals, getting a late first period goal and then 2 early goals in the second period to take control of the game, 3-0, before the game is 25 minutes old.
Well, and the other thing I would mention, Drew, is that, again, not that we pay a lot of attention to the pillow fight Pacific, as they're calling it, apparently, but This is an important game for Vegas. I mean, Vegas is right in it with Edmonton. They're kind of neck and neck. I think Vegas had a point on Edmonton. I could be wrong, but they're also, I think they're only 4 back of Anaheim. So, I mean, this wasn't as if this was a game that you're saying.
They're playing for home ice advantage is what Vegas was doing. I mean, Edmonton's in action tonight.
Yeah.
They're up 4-2 on Utah. So as a result, if Edmonton wins that game,
they're going
to leapfrog Vegas for home ice advantage. I should mention, by the way, the Flames have tied it up. So it's 2-2 with less than 4 minutes to play between the Kings and the Flames in Calgary, as we continue to keep a close eye on the out-of-town scoreboard there.
Right. But I guess what I'm, taking it back to the Pacific, or we'll get back to the third goal in a second, but it's not a game that Vegas can really be sleeping, and pretending like this is not an important game. Sure, they're going to be a playoff team, but you want some sort of advantage in what is a very weak Pacific division. So, to maybe give yourself a little bit of home ice, I think I guess what I'm saying is it's not as if this game has no meaning. It's not Colorado, although Colorado and Dallas are still and Minnesota are all still duking it out in the Central to a degree.
Colorado's 7 up now.
Well, no, Colorado's fine, but I'm just saying that Minnesota and Dallas are still in that sort of
conceivably battle. Minnesota could still catch Dallas, but Dallas.
Did they end up? Did Minnesota end up winning, or I know they came back and tied Tampa.
Minnesota lost 6-3 to Tampa, so Minnesota's 5 behind the Dallas Stars. So right, I mean, it looks like first, second, and third in the Central are going to be pretty clearly defined. Even though Dallas did lose tonight to New Jersey as well. Yeah, but it was just funny because that's the thing, because Minnesota was down, and then I think they either tied it or they made it 3-2. But I thought they had tied the game, and then not that it matters. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point I'm making. They were up 2-0. They were up 3-1 at a point in time, and then Tampa tied it up 3-3, and then.
Minnesota was up?
Minnesota was up.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. I thought
Minnesota was up 3-1, and then they gave up the lead.
Oh, that's even worse. Okay, never mind. But had they won, of course, they'd only be 3 back of Dallas.
Correct.
That's true. But let's focus on the Pacific. I guess what I'm getting at ultimately is that this was not an important game for Vegas, but it wasn't a game that they were, Now, maybe it was the fact that Vegas has had a very good record. It was something, I mean, Kyle Connor said, maybe we're due because the Jets' record against Vegas going back some time in the last, 2 years, 3 years has not been particularly good. I think the Jets have 2 wins in the last few years against Vegas. So it has not gone well for them against the Golden Knights. Maybe actually, sorry, I think it's even worse than that, Drew. I think it's like 3 or 4 years. But ultimately, this is a Jets team that was focused, and this was like you said, it was not the way they got possession obviously is less than ideal, but that line continues to kind of chug along, and Gabriel Velarde we've been talking about it for a while now, continues to play extraordinarily well. And you're right. It was funny. Like, you watched him I wasn't certain what he was doing, right? Like, you're like, okay, is he going to try and set his new career high and get his 28th goal?
Yeah.
Because he looked like he was hanging on to it. But I think he just he looked at Hill, tried to, distract him from the potential. But yeah, real nice pass to Cole Perfetti. And you can see, not really on this play, but I just thought there were other instances where Perfetti was moving today that you can just see that confidence is kind of come back in his game a lot more. Mm-hmm. And again, we're not surprised. I mean, the high ankle sprain, we knew was going to take a while for him to kind of recover from. So you're just seeing a player who, in my mind, is playing with a lot more confidence, than he was earlier in the season.
Right, exactly right. Vegas gets their lone goal of the game at the 10:29 mark of the second period. It's a power play goal. This is with Alex Iafallo in the box for removing the opponent's helmet penalty, where he gets the roughing call for taking off the headwear of Jeremy Lauzon, an undisciplined penalty by a veteran player in the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets are unable to kill it off. Colton Sissons getting his 6th of the year, assist to Rasmus Anderson, assist to Ivan Barbashev. Neil Pionk has got responsibility for Sissons in front, and it's a nice pass by Anderson to put it right onto the stick of Sissons before Pionk is there to tie it up. To tie up the stick. He's in position, but he doesn't really get to the stick in time. Redirects it through the wickets of Connor Hellebuyck. Vegas is on the board. They have life 3-1 at the 10.5 minute mark of the second period.
Well, and like we touched on it a bit in the preamble, but the one thing I would say is that the Jets sequence before that, where Morgan Barron kind of ends the threat, Dylan DeMello, like I'd mentioned earlier, he makes a real nice play. I don't know how they didn't score on Connor Hellebuck because was that Eichel, Drew, or I can't remember actually. Colby, hold on. Colby, I should have it in my notes, but Colby sent me maybe the chat will remind me before I pick it up. But it was pretty crazy because it was Mark Stone. So Mark Stone had the chance to bury that one, but he just can't get it through. And then, like I said, DeMello clears it, and then doesn't get it out, but Barron makes that kind of diving play to get it out. So it was really nice sequence. Yeah. And then, yeah, you're right. This is unfortunate because I think, the PK, this is an area, of course, that the special teams, you kind of need them to be effective. And Colton Sissons, who was expecting Colton Sissons to be the guy who scores. But, the most important thing, and it's interesting, is that it was kind of, to me, was that, okay, fine, they score, and there's, still over 9.5 minutes or whatever it was to go in the game. That
to go in the second period.
Right, I meant in the second period.
Yeah.
But so you're sitting there and yeah, they give up the front of the net. So you don't like to see that because that's obviously not how you want to be doing things. But the other thing to me was also the fact that they're able to kind of not sit back, right? Like in Vegas had more power play opportunities.
Well, they had a power play 2 minutes later. The Golden Knights did. I mean, with that fake penalty called on Neil Pionk, where he gets called for tripping Riley Smith, and I could see it from my vantage point clearly. Smith just lost his balance, and you can see why the refs get baited into that call. But Pionk, there was not a trip there, but the Jets.
That's why they gave the makeup call against.
But they gave him. The makeup call came, but the makeup call came about 80 seconds later. So it's not like it was a bang makeup call. Vegas had 80 seconds of power play time that they weren't really deserving of. And imagine if the Jets PK fails in that instance again, and all of a sudden you go from a 3-0 lead to a 3-2 lead, and you still got basically half the game to play. That's why it was so important. That's why I put it up on the screen. I want to highlight, for courtesy of our friends at Wheatland Hockey, I want to highlight the defensive efforts and the penalty killing efforts of both Morgan Barron and Cole Koepke in tonight's game, because I thought they were tremendously effective on the PK for the Winnipeg Jets. Probably, as you said before, Dave, are unlucky to not have scored a shorthanded goal, the two of them, given the way that they played. So I wanted to make mention of that because they're not on the score sheet, in terms of a goal for, but they deserve it to be acknowledged for their impressive efforts tonight. And that is, of course, courtesy of our friends at Wheatland Hockey Club, which is committed to building skills, character, and excellence on and off the ice with a fresh approach to youth hockey and development. Wheatland Hockey Club offers development-focused and inclusive programs that build hockey skills while fostering confidence, leadership, and resilience. Proudly serving Manitoba, Winnipeg, and all surrounding areas, Wheatland Hockey has a program for everyone. Check them out online, wheatlandhockey.ca. So sorry about that, Mr. Minuk. Thank you very much.
No, I was going to say I agree with you. And the guy one thing I noticed in today's game was, what were the Jets doing more of? Playing with speed. Right, they look rested. Obviously, we didn't see them on the ice yesterday, and they took the day off, and they were back on the ice today. But I mean, we can mention that Nino Niederreiter and Vlad Nemesnikov both skated. That was what I asked Scott Arneal about in the media availability, and I will give Scott Arneal credit. I don't know if folks heard the line, but it was. Do you have the? Actually, I should have had the video prepped, Drew, because it could have pulled the video up.
I'm sorry.
No, I should have told you. But anyway, so I asked Scott Arneal about Nemesnikov and Niederreiter because they were both on the ice. And he said, this is how he started. He goes, that's the first time I saw them. So I just introduced myself this morning. But I mean, it's been a while, right? I mean, these guys, as I wrote about on illegalcurve.com, they both were listed as week to week, but they've both been out now for some time. We got kind of updates in early March. We're now obviously towards the third week of March, or in the third week of March, I should say. And he still made it sound like, I don't know if they're a week or two away. So Nemesnikov, Niederreiter, not anytime soon. So the Jets will remain with the 12 forwards until, again, as we expect, they're knocked out of the playoffs or playoff picture. And then they'll make that recall to get some some of the younger guys in potentially to give them a chance to make their debuts, and then or Zhilkin to see what he wants to do in the last 5, 6, 7 games, whatever it's going to be, and then also Colin Miller, who I asked about. He basically said Colin Miller is not anytime. He said the interesting thing is he said he had a reset. No, what did he say? Hold on, I'm going to pull it up so I'm not misquoting the coach. He said Colin's still rehabbing. He had a setback, so he's not on the ice. Now, interestingly,
I don't think we're going to see him this season at this point.
For sure. I'm just giving people an update, right? Again, if people made the mistake of not reading illegalcurve.com,
that was a big
mistake. That would be a mistake. But if they did, then here is the info that you may be waiting for.
There you go. The LA Kings and the Calgary Flames are off to overtime, so the Kings have earned a point. So they're going to at least stay 2 points ahead on the Winnipeg Jets, and time will tell if it's 3 points ahead of the Jets or not. The third period sees no goals until Mark Scheifele gets his 32nd assist to Kyle Connor. That into the empty net. But again, I want to highlight the PK for the Winnipeg Jets is because, the Jets took a couple penalties in the last 10 minutes of the game where things could definitely have gotten a little harried. Elias Salomonsson, he takes that cross-checking penalty. I don't love the penalty itself for him taking a penalty, but I love that he's beginning to play the game with a little bit more of an edge. This is a guy who's getting more and more confident by the day. You don't want him taking undisciplined cross-checking penalties, but you like having a little bit of another threat on the back end. Then Dylan Sandberg with an unintentional high stick a couple minutes after that. But to the Jets' credit, they kill both of those penalties off, including what had become a 6-on-4 as Vegas had pulled Aiden Hill in an attempt to cut the lead from 3-1 to 3-2. The Jets do what they need to do, killing off both of those penalties effectively. Mark Scheifele tied with Kyle Connor. Of course, they're tied. They have to stay tied when it comes to when it comes to goal scoring. Scheifele, his 32nd into the empty net. Kyle Connor, the assist on that one as well. Everybody goes home happy tonight in downtown Winnipeg as the Jets win 4-1 over the Vegas Golden Knights. Must-win game for the Jets, and they accomplished just that, keeping the faint playoff hopes alive for yet another game and another couple of days before Colorado visits in what will be an uphill climb, but not an impossible one because we've seen it happen recently on Thursday night. We'll head to break. When we come back, preview a couple of shows upcoming, preview of tomorrow's Mindell Meat Minute. I know that's what you've all been waiting for.
Man, and Drew, are you ready? That's like 10 hours away.
I need to go to bed. That's what I need to get. I need to catch up on some sleep, Dave.
Sure.
I need to make sure that I'm in peak physical condition, which means I probably need about another solid 2 to 3 years before the Mindell Meat Minute, if that was a possibility. But more of Illegal Curve post-game show presented by our friends at Play Now still to come. Don't go anywhere.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling sites instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh, boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door. And you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca.
For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
Hey Winnipeg, Joe Carter here. I look forward to joining you in Winnipeg on June 4th for the Ray D. JCC Ken Cronson Sports Dinner. See you in June. Don't be late.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
20 minutes before the top of the hour, welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk here. They're off to a shootout in Calgary between the Flames and the Kings, so no blood in overtime. We'll keep a close eye on that over the next couple of minutes. That should hopefully wrap up almost at the same time as we wrap up tonight's edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. We remind everybody with the next biggest game of the season upcoming on Thursday against the Avs, we will be live Thursday afternoon, 12 p.m. Central Time, right in the thick of your lunch hour. Be sure to head on down to City Place. That is where we will be broadcasting a special edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, getting you set for the Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. We know how important all these games are for the Winnipeg Jets. So we will be there on Thursday night, teeing up that game, getting you ready for everything to do with the Jets and the Avs on Thursday at 12 noon. Come visit us at City Place, second floor. We're in the food court. Look for the giant Illegal Curve sign. Look for producer Tim. I confirmed that he's going to be there. So be sure to join us on that on Thursday afternoon. I also confirmed with producer Tim, Dave, that that he's going to be there with us at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue for our next live on location post-game show coming up on Tuesday, April the 14th.
Yeah.
Watch the Jets and the Utah Mammoth at Boston Pizza. Stick around after the game for an Illegal Curve post-game show live on location. We'll be there watching the game. You'll be there. We'll do the post-game show. It's the last regular season road game. We'll know in the next little bit if it's the last road game period of the season, but we'll be there on Tuesday, April 14th regardless, and we want to see you there on that day, and we want to see you at City Place on Thursday night. So a couple opportunities coming your way, Thursday afternoon, I should say, at City Place. A couple opportunities coming your way to come say hello to those of us in Illegal Curve live on location.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Drew. I think that'll be fun. Thursday, that I always like the double shows, the little special edition show. That'll be a good time. And then, like you said, I always enjoy getting a chance to see everyone out at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue when we do those types of shows, and let's hope there's more shows to come. I mean, we never turn those down. We enjoy doing the playoff editions at City Place when we get to do the special edition shows before every single home game. So that's a blast. But yeah, we'll see what happens. The Jets are making it interesting. That's what they're doing. Moose are also making it interesting. I'm not going to do a whole Moose minute, but they did lose. Had a bit of a bad run at home, went 1-3 between Milwaukee and Tucson. Former Moose Jets great, just joking about the great part, Austin Pagansky, who I believe is UND alum. He a member of the Minnesota Mafia, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong on that part, but he was a Moose killer. Scored a couple of goals on Monday night, and the Moose fell to Tucson, got swept by the Roadrunners. So the Moose are out east. They are in Toronto to play the Marlies tomorrow night. Then they play a couple games against Belleville, and then they're back against Toronto, and then they're back home. And so no Tyrell Bauer. He missed the game after a big tilt on Saturday. So as everyone saw that one. So nothing's happening with the Moose. Phyllis, they're just in a bit of a funk right now, but they are comfortably in a playoff spot. They will finish somewhere in probably third or fourth. I imagine I don't think Milwaukee will catch them, but never say never, but they'll either be third, fourth, or fifth. And of course, you're trying to avoid that, so you don't have to play a play-in game. So they're ideally going to try and fight for third, which they still have a shot at because they are 2 points. Are they 2 points? No, they might be tied with Texas, but they're 2 points back, but with a game in hand on Texas, I should say. And that, well, hopefully we'll see if they can do it against Toronto and against Belleville. And Belleville, the good news for the Moose, Drew, is that the Senators have some injuries on the back end, so they've made some defensive recalls. And so
I think you're playing defense for the Belleville Senators in that game.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so it comes down to the fact that the Moose will they'll and more interestingly than anything, what I'm very curious about, Drew, we haven't heard anything to indicate this. This is just my own speculation, but the Bruins, as I'm sure you're aware, sent their first round pick James Haggins from college to the minor league team in Providence on an ATO, which is generally what you do to guys who are not signed to an ELC. So Alphonse Frey doesn't need to because he's already signed to his ELC. So he was just assigned or loaned down to the Moose. But James Haggins, whatever, he signed an ATO and is allowed to go down and play for Providence, who I think actually are the number one team in the AHL. They overcame Grand Rapids. And it's interesting because it's never really been done before, because generally college players don't do that. And what I'm curious about, if that's the case, is what might we see Sasha Boumediene, the 2025 first rounder for the Winnipeg Jets, what's stopping him from doing something similar, signing an ATO and then playing for the Manitoba Moose and then going
an ATO being an amateur tryout. So I see Doug was in the chat asking what an ATO is. So an ATO is an amateur tryout.
Yeah.
But what they're going to do with Haggins, or what the speculation is that Boston's going to do with Haggins, is they're going to send him to the AHL, give him some games there on an ATO. Then they're going to sign him to his professional contract, and he would be eligible to play in the playoffs for the Bruins.
Right, of course, but there's also, but there again, like I said, I was just seeing some guys speculate.
The Winnipeg Jets perspective, yes.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that the thought is that in theory he could also technically return to college. Now, again, it's speculative. Again, like I said, and sorry, Doug, I should have been a little more clear. There's two types of contracts that you can sign if you're not already signed to an NHL deal, is an ATO, as Drew just said, an amateur tryout offer, or a PTO, which is a professional tryout offer, which is what they'll often do when they get guys from the ECHL. So, but anyways, it just, that's more speculation.
I will tell on that front is what you're saying, but something to keep an eye out for potentially.
And then quickly though, I will say, Drew, hopefully, I know we're going to get we're not, come on, we're hold on. Are we past an hour yet?
No, but you're killing me slowly here. But Chico's okay. Hurry it up.
Okay, the only thing I was going to say, and if you haven't read it already, I would advocate you do, is we did a prospect review of the 4 players in the OHL and the 1 in the WHL, and all of them will be starting their regular season performance. So Kevin He, Kieran Walton, Edison Engel, Jacob Cloutier, those are the 4 in the OHL, and of course, Manitoban from Oakbank, Manitoba, Owen Martin in the WHL with Spokane. So all 5 of those players, we kind of went over what they did in the regular season, and all 5 of them will be in the CHL playoffs that begin on Thursday and Friday. And so my point I'm making, and how I'm bringing it back to the Jets and the Moose, I should say, is that if those playoffs come to an end, those players will most likely be added. Kevin, he didn't last year because he was injured. Kieran Walton did. He played, I think, 4 games, got his first pro point. Engel, we won't because he's going to college next year, and Cloutier we'll see, and Owen Martin as well most likely would come.
There you go. Dave M covering all the bases on his thorough recaps as only he can provide. The LA Kings fell in a shootout, so they earned 1 point only. So the Jets are 2 points behind the LA Kings in the playoff race. There's now actually, 3 points between the Kings and the Predators. So the Predators, by virtue of their 7-2-1 record and their 5 consecutive wins, are pulling ahead a little bit in that race for the second wild card spot. So, and the Kings, frankly, had they won, they are not out of the running for this third or for in the Pacific Division itself. So a costly shootout loss for the LA Kings. So the Jets gain ground on San Jose. They now leapfrog San Jose. What happened with Seattle tonight? I don't think they played, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Seattle lost. Seattle lost to Florida.
Oh, they lost in a shootout to Florida. Right.
Yeah,
so
but credit Seattle, Drew, because they were down 4-1,
right,
and tied at 4-all. So
right. So the Jets and the Kraken are tied, and the Jets and the Kraken are now 2 points behind the Kings, 5 points behind the Nashville Predators. So,
and Drew,
we know that the Jets had to leapfrog so many teams to get to where they needed to get to a playoff spot. So they've now successfully leapt over the San Jose Sharks, albeit the Sharks do have games in hand on the Jets.
And shout out to Cole Landerville of St. Cloud, Manitoba, getting his first WHL goal. But Dave, which team does he play for in the WHL?
There you go. Well, that Dave answered that, and we'll bring it to you in a second here. Well, I talk about what, of course, the seminal moment and what everyone's been waiting for.
The floor is yours.
It's not a big preview. It's just reminding everybody that tomorrow morning, 8:30, is the Mindell Meat Minute. So if you happen to be in the neighborhood of the grocery store and want to watch me run through a grocery store like an absolute lunatic, you can do that. But of course, we will have live coverage, not live coverage, but we are recording it. I have the GoPro. I have acquired the GoPro. So we will have that ready to go. And hopefully we'll bring that to you on Thursday's Illegal Curve post-game show.
I don't, guys and girls, the results of the game on Thursday are completely meaningless. Mark Scheifele becoming the all-time games played leader for this franchise. Meaningless. What matters is us watching that video. Now, Drew, here's the question for you.
Yeah.
Will we be watching that video on the special edition on Thursday?
I think it's a post-game show sort of thing.
This is your journey. You have full decide.
It's a post-game show. It's an after the commercial break post-game show, sort of thing. And, of course, before, there's also going to be the documentary of the making of the Mindell Meat Minute. Yeah. That's a 4-hour-long documentary that's going to be premiering after the post-game show on Thursday. So you can, settle in for that as well.
Now, Drew, I have a question. I do have a question for you, though. Dave's saying, please save it for the day.
It's a post-game show. We're not going to do it at noon. It's not the good folks at City Place. They pay for some degree of our nonsense. They probably don't pay for that degree.
I gotta tell you that might be better than anything we're gonna say, but fine, I'll acknowledge that. The question I have for you though is, Drew, what happens if you trip, fall, get injured? Are you allowed to like tag somebody else in, or do you have to kind of drag yourself?
Perfectly honest, if I'm injured, I think it will make the video that much funnier.
Oh, for sure.
If I somehow trip and hurt myself, and all of a sudden I'm writhing in pain.
A la when someone threw you the football and I was videoing Drew. Do you remember at UND?
I do remember that at UND.
And all of a sudden you just see Drew running, and boom, Drew's down.
Yeah, that was a lot of years ago. We were in Grand Forks, and I was stretching out for a pass, and height, agility, flexibility, those are not the strengths that I have. And so down I went. Down goes Frazier, down goes Mindell. And I'm not sure that I ever got up at any point in time. But coming up, it is tomorrow morning. We're looking forward to it. It should be completely and totally ridiculous. And that's why you tune in to the Illegal Curve postgame show for totally, completely ridiculous and meat-related conversation.
Ezzy and I will be there throwing eggs.
You guys are going to be the ones stripping me in the aisle. You're actually going to be taking elderly people and throwing them in my direction as tripping hazards. I have to hurdle over the elderly. So that's going to come up on Thursday, and God bless us all for having this opportunity to get together to watch that. And God bless us all for having this opportunity to get together tonight to talk about a Winnipeg Jets victory over the Vegas Golden Knights. Big thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. Big thanks to Colby Spence for getting us the photography and the videography. And a big thanks to the sponsors who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. That's our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Play Now, they're the title sponsor. Holt Dental, City Place, Wheatland Hockey, Boston Pizza, and of course the Rady JCC Sports Dinner with Joe Carter and Cito Gaston, June the 4th. Tickets available at radyjcc.com. Support all of these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. For Dave Manouk, I am your host, Drew Mandel. We'll see you Thursday at 12 noon at City Place, also live, of course, here on our YouTube channel. Until then, we wish you good night and good luck. Good luck to me for the Mandel Meat Minute coming up tomorrow. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. This has been the Illegal Curve Post-Game Show.